Hello everyone and welcome back to our channel. My name is Malescu and I am the owner of Malescu a law firm based in Miami, Florida, specializing in business, corporate and US immigration. We can assist you with all your immigration needs regardless of where you are currently located or where you plan to go in the United States. But before we get started, please subscribe to our channel by clicking the bell button or the subscribe button. Today we are going to speak about a recent E-3 visa success story, and that is an E-3 visa approved at the US Consulate in Perth, Australia for an Australian software engineer. This is a recent success story. The Australian software engineer was approved an E-3 visa for change of employers at the US Consulate in Perth, Australia for 2 years, the maximum allowed under this visa category. Now, in this case, the Australian software engineer wanted to transfer their E-3 visa to a new employer in order to be able to work remotely from a different state. The new E-3 visa was obtained fairly quickly via the US Consulate after obtaining an approval from the US Department of Labor. And of course, we will discuss more about the highlights of this case. But before we speak more about this case, as a reminder, the E-3 visa is a visa program for the United States specifically designed for Australian citizens who are coming to work in the United States in a specialty occupation, meaning an occupation that requires specialized knowledge and at least a bachelor's degree or its equivalent. The E-3 visa is approved for 2 years and can be renewed indefinitely. This E-3 visa approval case highlights are: 1. Fast processing. It was possible for the Australian software engineer to obtain their E-3 visa in order to work for the new company and start their new employment within 3 weeks of application, including obtaining a labor condition application. So it took a total of 3 weeks for the Australian software engineer to obtain their E-3 visa in the passport in order to start their new employment in the United States with the new US company. 2. Labor condition application speed. The labor condition application filed with the US Department of Labor was approved in 5 business days, allowing the software engineer to obtain their E-3 visa fast. 3. Australian Consulate. The US Consulate in Perth, Australia approved the E-3 visa in 7 days from application. 4. 2 years E-3 visa validity. The E-3 visa for the transfer to a new employer was approved for the maximum period allowed, and that is 2 years. So the E-3 visa that the Australian software engineer received was for 2 years with a validity of 2 years. 5. E-3 visa change of employer simplified. Unlike with the H-1B visas, the E-3 visa program, which is specifically designed for Australian citizens, allow the applicant, the employee, to change their employers without an approval from the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. Instead, if the employee wants to change employers by filing for a new E-3 visa at the US Consulate abroad, then they are not required to obtain an approved I-129 for change of employers from the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services. So this step that you usually have when you apply for a transfer with your H-1B, it is not required in the case of E-3 visas. However, just like with the H-1B visa, In the case of E3 visas, you also have to obtain an approved labor condition application from the US Department of Labor before you as an Australian citizen can go and apply for the new E3 visa for the new employer at the US consulates abroad. And finally, 6, the USCIS change of employer options. So if you do not want to travel, like in this case, to travel to Australia or to another US consulate abroad in order to obtain your new E3 visa, and instead you want to stay in the United States and change employers with your E3 visa, then you have this option by filing for the change of employers directly with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services on Form I-129. And if that is approved, then you can start your employment in E3 status with your new company without having to travel abroad and obtain a new E3 visa. So you have this option to change employers within the United States with the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services under the E3 status, and you do not necessarily have to travel abroad to obtain an E3 visa if you don't want to travel for the purposes of obtaining a new visa for the new employer. And also another aspect to mention with the change of employers through the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services, you also have the option to pay an additional fee for premium processing and obtain a decision from the United States Citizenship and Immigration Services within 15 business days of filing your change of employer on Form I-129. And now we are going to speak about the E3 visa documents that the software engineer presented to the US Consulate in Australia in order to obtain the new E3 visa for the new employer. So the successful applicant presented the following documents for their E3 visa. 1. Australian passport. 2. I-94 record. 3. Prior E3 visa. 4. Formal employment letter from the US company for their new employer in the United States. 5. The approved labor condition application from the US Department of Labor. 6. Their bachelor's degree. And 7. Their resume. This is all for today. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, and if you need to get in touch with us, you have our contact information in this video and below this video. We will see you soon. Bye.